I kind of wanted to come in here today and kind of talk about something that's been on my mind for quite some time. Going through this YouTube channel, growing content for you guys has been great, but I think the biggest struggle that I've continued to have as a person has been to be able to find certain goals, stick by those goals, especially as I evolve as a brand and a person, and making sure I'm following the vision of what I want to do, where I want to go with what I want to do. And so today I kind of want to go through something with you. I want to kind of walk through how we can start building some momentum, how you can start building those goals so that you can start really building those brand goals off of things that actually can make a difference and help you evolve. Now, this video isn't just for larger brands and leadership roles. I think this can go into 3 stages. I think if you're an individual and you're a personal brand, or you're just a person in general that's looking to really time block and really figure out how to set goals for yourself as a person, all the way to if you're at a pivotal point where you're kind of delegating and you have some freelancers or some people on your team, if it be in marketing, if it be in operations, if it be W-2, lower end employees, if you're a gym per se, or you're a local brick and mortar, upwards to leadership. I think momentum is a huge thing, and I kind of want to dive into that today. And I've been there. I've kind of been through points in my life where I've had goals and I haven't been able to stick to them. So today I really want to walk you through how you can really start setting those goals. We're going to be utilizing the BHAG system, which is the big, hairy, audacious goal method. And hopefully this will help you not just define your goals, but something that can help you stick to as you continue to evolve your vision in your company and you start working for a team or other leadership departments within your organization as you expand. Before we get started, I want to talk to you about a method that I have found. It's a good way. It's a concept. It's kind of a theory. I don't remember really what it's called. I think it's called the bottle theory per se. And it's a concept where a professor took a bottle and he took that bottle and he added a whole bunch of sand to that bottle and he asked everyone about their time and what they're working on. And you'll notice if you watch this, I'll try to leave a link down below so that you can watch this video or attach it to this video per se. But it's about if you add the sand before you add rocks or water, you can't really fit those rocks into the jar, right? And so we really want to set ourselves forth and understanding this concept on how before you get started, you need to add the water, then the rocks, then you can add the pebbles. Then you can add the sand. And those pebbles and sand are really a metaphor. And this concept is really going to help you practice being able to understand on what the things that are either working now that are no longer working to help you make it to the next level, or they're meant to kind of help you redefine so that you can move out of the comfortable and move forward towards the uncomfortable and be able to delegate or lead other people towards doing those tasks that you no longer either feel like doing or feel like you have enough time to do. So as we go through today's video, we're going to set goals. I'm going to walk through each one of these practices so that you can start focusing on the right thing. Now, we're going to kind of go through 3 steps in this to try to make it easier for you guys. We're going to talk about the 10-year goal versus the yearly goals, theme, outcomes. We're going to kind of talk about milestones, which will be those rocks we talked about in the example earlier. And then we're going to talk about tasks, which are the pebbles, which are what you usually add in last that we all as people tend to really focus on the most when it comes to growing what we're trying to grow. I know one of my biggest frustrations with growing my brand is the focus and the shifts that continue to be needed as I start to grow a team, as I start to lead, as we decide on if we want to bring on more products or we want to bring on more services, or even worse, if we're doing too much and we need to back off and delete some of these. But before we really get started, we need to make sure that we have our vision in place. We have plenty of videos on setting a vision. I know vision can evolve, but by this time, I'm hoping that you at least have a 10-year vision in place for you or your business or your brand, depending on what stage you're at within your business cycle. But first and foremost, we're going to start off by talking about that vision, right? That is really going to be the theme of the overall perspective here. Now, your 10-year goal could be vague. In reality, it should be vague. Your 10-year goal needs to be something that you want to achieve within yourself and or the business that you can kind of push towards towards. But with the ever-growing state of everything in this world and what you're going to be doing and changing and growing on, that goal may shift a bit. And so you kind of want it to be a broader goal. And today's focus won't necessarily be on that 10-year goal, but it will be more on how do we take a 1-year goal from that 10-year goal, and how do we kind of create a goal that we can kind of help build momentum throughout the next coming year that you can start utilizing to focus on the right things. So first and foremost, step one, we need to come up with a theme. This is your big, hairy, audacious goal for the year. And the reason we call it audacious goal is because 99% of the time, you're probably only going to get 90% through with this. It's almost impossible no matter how much team you have, but you are going to really focus on a 1-year goal. Now, I want you to take a look at your 10-year goal here. And I want you to be able to take this 10-year goal and I want you to find something that's really a pain point right now within yourself or your business. And I want you to try to find a theme for yourself. What is something that right now you really need to get a grasp of within what you're trying to do with the growth of yourself or your business? And so, this can be anything from, I need to get 10 new customers, or if you're more volume based, 50 more customers. You need to build retention per se. So how do you build retention? And that could be your theme for the year is how do we go from a 60% retention year over year to a 70% or 80%, even 90%, depending on the cycle of your customers. Or you can even do something along the lines of how do you build a top line keep your top line revenue growing as you're keeping a consistent bottom line revenue as you're continuing to grow throughout the next year. It really depends. This big, hairy, audacious goal is really meant, I'm just going to call it BHAG from now on, by the way. This BHAG is going to be something that's going to be the overall theme to everything. That's going to be your theme for the whole year and something that you're saying, no matter what, this is our main focus for the year. Now, I'd love to hear in the comment box down below what your BHAG is. What is something that you're looking forward to over the next year that you're looking to promote and grow within yourself or your business so that you can make that next step in the growth of what you're trying to achieve. Now, I know section 1 here was a little bit more vague. It usually is because that usually takes about 10 minutes unless you don't have a vision down yet. But once you get past that part, we're going to get into segment 2 now. And what we're really going to talk about right now is your milestones. Your milestones are your rocks. Think about it when we talked about that jar, putting in the water first. That was your overall BHAG. And now you're going in and you're going to put in those rocks so that you can fill up those bigger chunks of said jar. And so as you start doing this, you're going to see that you're going to build probably 3, 4, 5, or 6 of these throughout the year. Us being visionaries, if you're a visionary and you're watching this, you're probably all over the place. You probably want to create like 10 milestones. You can do that, but I highly recommend sticking to something a little bit more simple. Me personally, I like to stick to about 4 milestones and I like to divide them into quarters. And that way, as you're going through with your team and you're starting to align all this stuff and you're starting to delegate who does what, you can either define certain milestones to each individual person, or you can have a milestone that has multiple people involved in it so that these can be your quarters. As part of our continued effort to help brands around the world create and develop upon their vision, we created multiple downloads to help you during that process. In regards to the video we're working on today, we do have a link down in the comment section. Go down there, download that free download, and work through this workshop with you and or your team so that you can start taking your brand to the next level. And so with that said, if you downloaded the sheet that I recommended from above, then I would say utilize that sheet that has everything you need to kind of start writing stuff down. But if you don't, you can create 4 boxes. So at the top of your page, create your momentum, your BHAG, that one thing you're going to do, and then create 4 boxes underneath aligned with it. And then just kind of say, hey, these are going to be my milestones for the year. These are my 4 milestones. Now, if you're looking at something along the lines of just to kind of give you a better idea of how you're going to achieve this, you want to kind of look at it in terms of the theme, right? And so if if we had a themes per se around how to bring on 10 new clients, let's use that one. And that's more volume based, right? And so realistically, I could probably take this right now and utilize it within my own business, but we're going to kind of sit down and we're going to say milestones. And so you're going to have 4 milestones that portray to, getting 10 clients a month. And so let's say what comes first for that first quarter. First quarter, I would probably say, hey, we're not really getting clients in the door right now. Do we need more volume or do we need more close rate per se on what we do? And so you'd first probably have to look at that. And you'd probably have to say, hey, let's look at our lead gen efforts in our audience. And so from a marketing perspective, since that's mostly where I'll go because this is what I focus on with our clients, is you're probably going to want to focus on, in this regard, hey, who is my target audience? And so I'll probably start off by creating some pebbles underneath that first milestone. I'll probably go, hey, maybe I need to redefine my audience, or maybe I need to do research around my existing audience. And then you start creating pebbles from that. So your milestone could be, like I said, you're doing the 10 clients a year perspective. You want to start with, all right, we need to redefine our audience, how we're getting those clients in the door so that we can either raise our conversion rate or we can bring more volume and build momentum off it, right? So that's probably where you would start. And so just start going down the list, actionable tasks or pebbles that you can do, fill in that jar around that milestone objective. And that's going to be your quarter one. Now, to keep this simple, I want to kind of bring this up. I've gone through this multiple times over the years, and if I've continued to evolve and put it into practice for myself and my team, no, you can ship this around that suits you best. When we first started doing this, we had 4 or 5 milestones for a particular theme for the year, and we would actually take those milestones and then we would divide the pebbles into different quarters, and that ended up for us building a lack of communication. And so what we ended up doing, and as we started to make the shift, is we started to actually say, hey, we're just going to focus on 1 milestone a quarter just to make it easier on the team and our focus for that quarter. And so for sakes of this video, we're going to keep it simple. We're going to really focus on 1 milestone for each quarter, right? And so first off, when you start creating these milestones and these pebbles within these milestones, this is going to actually allow you to do multiple things. One, it will start building much more accountability on your leadership teams. And so first and foremost, I'd probably set a monthly call with your either leadership team or your management team to kind of go over these pebbles and see where they're at. 2, if you were doing this with a team and not yourself, I would really, really highly recommend, as you're having these meetings, you focus on the team building their own pebbles. And so let them come up with the tasks on where they're going to go. And for that next quarter, allow them to sit down, allow them to hold themselves accountable so that you're not bickering at them every other day to see where they're at with their goals. And that's kind of the goal of management and leadership anyway, is to kind of have them focus on creating these outcomes for themselves and their team. And so depending on how many people you have on your team, now if it's yourself, just go through and make these pebbles for yourself. And I would highly recommend that you set your own pebbles and you make sure that you're taking these pebbles and you're holding yourself accountable. Set a goal to double check them every week, every month, and make sure that you're following through on these pebbles and going through the list appropriately. Now, there are pebbles within pebbles, of course. You're going to have the smaller tasks within pebbles, but you don't really need to always document those things for leadership and management role. They'll more likely create these pebbles and then they'll create subtasks under that, and then they'll assign those to the smaller members of your team. And so that's first and foremost. But that's really it for this video. I mean, it's a really simple concept, and it actually will help you start building momentum within what you're doing within your brand and holding yourself and your team accountable for certain things. And before we go any further, again, I'd love if you could tackle and subscribe that button down below. We're really trying to hit as many people as possible so that we can bring as much value to our audience as we can. And so again, hit that subscribe button down below. Now, when it comes to your goals, it's okay that they're not all accounted for. Like I said earlier in this video, the goal, no pun intended, is to have your overall actionable list that can help you keep aligned with your team and yourself and hold yourself accountable as you start to evolve your brand and your business. We utilize this quite a bit within our agency and even our clients to make sure that they can come up with tasks themselves themselves that they can leverage for their team that we can work and partner with together as we are working on some tasks within the branding and marketing space. And so again, allow these to flow, allow these to be somewhat organic, but utilize these on a monthly, bi-weekly, or even weekly basis with your leadership and or management team so that you can kind of keep your vision aligned with that 10-year plan. Now we're coming to the end of the video. I didn't want this one to be too long. Again, download that download below if you want to kind of go through this with your hands. If not, why don't you check out this video up here where we talk a little bit about how you can build brand trust. And if you want to hear more about our new branded podcast, Gym Break, where we sit down with athletic leadership, we have one down here with Coco Black, and we start to discuss on how you can start building that consistency and growth during that expansion phase of your brick and mortar. So again, why don't you go down here and check out that podcast? And I appreciate you jumping on this one, and we'll talk soon.